Hi, hello, welcome back. My name is Devraj, and today we're going to continue along with our series, very long-running series on different bioenergetic postures, workouts, dynamic postures, static postures, all this stuff. If you've been following this series, then you know that the last few episodes, so to speak, were all about the eyes and different exercises we can do using our eyes and particularly our gaze. So these are exercises where we don't actually have to move around very much. In fact, really not at all. We're simply moving our gaze around. We did some circling, we did some swinging up and down, left and right, and this kind of stuff. And now we're going to look at one exercise which can be very, very provocative indeed. And by provocative, I mean emotionally provocative. You know, the exercise can actually stimulate very deeply held, repressed feelings, particularly around dominant and submissive behavior, hierarchies, parents, being a child, being an adult, this kind of thing. And the exercise is remarkably simple and involves very little movement, but can be very, very powerful. It has two basic positions. One is simply looking up. So it looks a bit like, you notice I'm trying to keep my head and the rest of my body fairly stable and fixed. Not too rigidly fixed, but you know what I mean. I mean, it's just my gaze that's stretching up, literally as far as I can look. Now, this is a very interesting posture psychologically because it represents the child position. We were all little kids at some point, and you know, pretty much all of us had adult carers, which meant we looked up. We look up, which creates a natural authority dynamic back in the middle, in the midbrain, in the amygdala. So a lot of emotions that are encoded around authority, around our experience of authority, of being small and under the subjugation or control of older or bigger people, are encoded in this eye movement, looking up as a child. So this is a very powerful eye movement, and the opposite, of course, is looking down. So all I'm doing is trying to keep my head fairly stable without locking my neck too much and just looking down. Down as far as I can go, up as far as I can go. And this, of course, is more of a parent position, the adult position, the authority position, looking down on someone. Infers in our deep psychology that you have dominion over them, you have control over them, they are your subject. So these eye exercises, just these two positions, can be very powerful, deep ways of getting into this whole authority dynamic that all of us carry around. We have different ways of dealing with situations when we come into contact with authority. You know, maybe we submit to the authority, or maybe we just fight the authority, or maybe we go along submissively, but inside we're like, you're never going to get me, you know? These are the classic three positions we take to authority, based a little around our childhood experience of authority and whether, you know, we felt there was love in the authority or not. In the sense that, you know, when we feel love also from the authority figure, when we feel their care as well, generally people who experienced that as a child have less trips about authority. You know, they can be in a structure, a hierarchical structure, and they can move with it. They can have respect, and then they can command respect as they come, you know, up the ladder, so to speak. And people who did not really experience that as kids either learn to just submit and surrender and contract, or to fight the authority, or more likely to go along with it, but to internally, mentally fight. So these exercises are ways that we can start to access some of those repressed emotions and then, you know, not have such a charged relationship around authority in future. Let's look at the classic way that you would do these exercises. So what you'd normally do is put on like a 1 minute or 2 minute ding and just do the upward movement with the eyes for 2 minutes, and then the downward movement for 2 minutes, and then have 2 minutes with your eyes closed, just sitting, breathing and feeling your body. And from that you could go around, you know, go around once, twice, 3 times if you like. Make so it's on a 6 minute kind of rep, 6 minutes a rep, you know, you can be 6 minutes, 12 minutes, 18 minutes. What's important when you do this exercise is try not to space out and try to keep your gaze looking up as high as you possibly can. So, you know, just to demonstrate, the first stage looking up would be keeping my gaze up. I'm trying to keep breathing as well because it's natural to lock up the throat a little bit. Because when we start to go into these intense kind of emotional areas of our life, authority, it's a big, big deal, then we can easily lock up the throat and, we don't really breathe. So it's just one stretch. Keep the stretch going, keep breathing, keep feeling the body. When the ding goes after 1 or 2 minutes, you go to the opposite, looking down. Very important to keep that breathing going, belly breathing if you know it, and very important to keep feeling your body. If you find yourself drifting off somewhere, it's probably because there's something you don't really want to feel or your nervous system is protecting you from, and that gives you the opportunity to come back and feel. So that's the basic way that one individual on their own can work with these two up and down gaze stretches. If you want to make it really powerful, there's an exercise you can do with a friend or a partner where basically one of you sits down and the other one stands over them and you look up at the person. So they're in the adult role, you're in the child role, and you look up at them like this and you just breathe and feel. They're doing the look down bit, you're doing the look up bit, and you just breathe and feel. And then after, that's quite good to do for 3 or 4 or 5 minutes. And then you can swap positions, basically. One come into the authority, one come into the child. Now, if you choose to do this with a friend, make sure that they're really up for it, first of all, because it can be very, very deep. And as you probably know, being told what to do, authority structures raise a lot of feelings. So you have to also, at the end of it, take time to hug, have a little sharing about how it was for you in the child role, in the parent role, and take time to make sure you have a good connection at the end and you're not carrying around some authority stuff because, it might sound silly, it's just a little exercise, but you'd be surprised how deep this exercise can go. Okay, so thank you for tuning in. That was this up and down gaze stretching, working with authority in the deepest, darkest recesses of our brain and our very early childhood. If you're turned on to this work, do check out my channel, check out my books. I've got online courses and all of that kind of thing, or reach out and send me a message if you'd like some advice. Okay, thank you once again, and I'll be back soon with more bioenergetics. Yes.